Good evening and welcome. The regular meeting of the Richmond Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sandy, if you could please read our mission statement and take roll.
At Richmond Community Schools, we provide a quality education that empowers students to be successful in a global community. Roll call. Candace?
Here.
Deb?
Here.
Kelly?
Here.
Angela?
Here.
Danielle?
Here.
Margaret? Here. And I am here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we approve our agenda, we do have one add-on. Under Section 8, Item C, we're adding a number 6, which will be a girls' basketball overnight trip to Midland, Michigan. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Walmsley?
In the personnel report, new hires, we have Jacqueline Ottenbacher. She will be hired as a temporary paraprofessional for one of our summer programs. Lori Pillars, assistant cook as a floater in the district. Stacy Rosinski, she will be hired as a counselor. She will begin in the 23-24 school year. She's going to finish out where she's currently at. And then Kendall Wilkinson, hired as the varsity football assistant coach. A notice of appointments, London Nowak Owens is the COVID aide at the high school. She will be hired through the end of the school year. And Nicole Schaefer was awarded the position of secretary at Richmond High School. There were no errors that were brought to my attention regarding the meeting minutes, and there were no questions regarding the claims and accounts.
Any questions from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is our Blue Devil Raves. I'll just work my way down. Danielle?
I'm good.
Sandy?
I just want to take a quick second to rave about the high school principal, Andrea Szabo, for putting on such an awesome event. This evening with the top 10 and their parents or their loved ones, and listening to them talk about somebody who's been influential to them was just really awesome. It was a really awesome thing, and we've never done that before, and so thank you. Great job.
Angela?
I'm all set, thank you.
Candace?
Yes, I wanted to do a shout out to Mrs. Brown, the ELA middle school teacher. She always is encouraging the students and makes it a very positive place for them to want to come. And with all the testing that has been going on the past couple weeks, I know my daughter has really appreciated her. So thank you to Mrs. Brown.
Ms. Talto?
Just want to second the rave that Sandy did. The event, Dinner with the Top 10, was outstanding.
Callie?
No, nothing today.
I want to add that as a past principal, I really thought it was a nice event, and I'm glad that we were doing it, and I hope we do it again. Okay, our next item on our agenda is our presentations. Our first one is our district spotlight.
Okay, tonight I'd like to introduce Mrs. Szabo to come on up to introduce and talk about our top 10. And Ms. Staples, are you joining her? So if we could have the board, if you would line up on this side of the table, and I'll turn over to this side.
Good evening. Tonight we are celebrating the amazing achievements of the top 10 graduating seniors. What each of you have been able to accomplish is truly amazing. Not only have you achieved academic success, when you look at all of the extracurricular activities, events, athletic achievements, community service hours and outreach, that truly speaks volumes about each of your character. Congratulations to each of you being celebrated this evening. Here to present Richmond's top 10 graduating students is Ms. Zabo, Richmond High School Principal.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here tonight to celebrate the top 10 students who will be graduating with the class of 2023. So when I call your name, if you and your loved ones, whether it be a parent, guardian, or grandparent who's with you, if you could please come up here while I share some information about you, I would appreciate it. So starting off is Ava Conrad. Ava is joined with her parents Daryl and Lori Conrad, as well as Diana and Michael Maniaci. She has a grade point average of a 3.838 and plans to attend St. Clair Community College, where she'll study film production and graphic design. She's been a member of the varsity bowling team for the past 4 years, is a member of National Honor Society, and also participates in dance outside of school. Congratulations, Ava. And I should add, students, if you don't mind, Ava, standing and stopping over at the Richmond Blue Devil flag. We're going to take a group picture of the top 10 at the conclusion, so if you don't mind, thank you. Up next is Seth Stricker. Seth is joined with his parents, Michelle and Brian Stricker. He has a grade point average of a 3.92, sorry about that, and plans to attend Oakland University, where he'll be studying electrical engineering. Seth was honored as a member of the Blue Water Area Conference All-Academic Team. He's been a member of the varsity football team for the past 4 years, and also is a member of Students Against Destructive Decisions, SAD, and National Honor Society. Congratulations, Seth. Up next, we have Casey Melberg. Casey is joined by her parents, Jennifer and Jean Melberg, and she has a grade point average of a 3.94. She plans to attend St. Clair Community College and then transfer to a 4-year university to study in the pharmaceutical field. She is the National Honor Society president, captain of our color guard team, and also spends her time as a competitive dancer outside of school at the Drop Everything and Dance Studio. Congratulations, Casey. Up next, we have Marissa Germain. Marissa is joined this evening by her parents, Stephanie and Damian Germain. She has a grade point average of a 3.948 and plans to study elementary education at St. Clair Community College. She is a 4-year member of both the varsity bowling and the varsity track teams, and also has been a 4-year member of our varsity band. She also is a member of the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Marissa. Up next is Madeline Foss. Madeline's parents are John and Michelle Foss and Andrea and Don Lyon. Both sets of parents were unable to be here this evening, and so she is joined by her grandparents, Terry and Mike Garland. She plans to study mortuary science at Wayne State University and is a participant in our Early College Macomb program and works in addition to going to school. Madeline was also honored as part of the Blue Water Area Conference All-Academic Team and has won multiple art awards during her time here at Richmond High School. Congratulations, Madeline. Up next is Cosette Bartels. Cosette is joined by her parents, Kyle and Keith Bartels, and she has a grade point average of a 3.958. Cosette plans to attend Michigan State University. She will be pre-med, focusing on anesthesiologist. Cosette has served as captain of both the varsity basketball and soccer teams, is a member of the National Honor Society and the Interact Club, and outside of school, both taking high school and college classes, has worked as a waitress and at a KOA. Congratulations, Cosette. Up next is Ella Allen. Ella is joined by her parents, Shannon and Chris Allen. She has a grade point average of a 3.978 and plans to attend the Culinary Institute of Michigan, where she will study baking and pastry. Ella was honored as a member of the All-Academic Blue Water Area Conference team. She's president of SAD, a member of Student Government and National Honor Society, is a player on our varsity tennis team, and is a 3-time All-State champion on the competitive cheer team. Congratulations, Ella. Up next is Braden Brunel. Braden is joined by his parents, Katie and Scott Brunel. He has a grade point average of a 3.979 and plans to study electrical engineering at Oakland University. He's been a 4-year member of the varsity football team and also participates in SAD and is a member of National Honor Society. Congratulations, Braden. Up next is Bethany Capellan. Bethany is joined by her mom, Jill, this evening. She has a grade point average of a 4.054, and she plans to attend Macomb Community College and continue studying sociology. She was a member of the Blue Water Area Conference All-Academic Team and currently participates in the Early College Macomb program. Additionally, she has an internship at a nonprofit agency outside of school. In her spare time, Bethany enjoys babysitting. Congratulations, Bethany. And finally, we have Nathan Peer. Nathan is joining us this evening with his parents, Kathy and Michael Peer. He has a grade point average of a 4.113 and plans to study product design at either Lawrence Technical University or Eastern Michigan next year. Nathan was honored as a member of the Macomb County All-Academic Team, as well as the Blue Water Area Conference Academic Team. He's been a part of the Richmond High School marching band for 4 years and is a former member of the Richmond High School First Robotics Team 4130. Congratulations, Nathan. At this time, if we could give all 10 of our top 10 students from the class of 2023 a round of applause. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to continue on with our meeting. Our seniors and their guests, you do not need to stay unless you would like. Don't forget to take a slide.
Looking for her. Yep. Interesting, isn't it?
Okay, we're going to continue on with our presentations. The next one is item B, instructional spotlight.
All right. Good evening. Today I'm going to be talking about our proposed K-12 curriculum. It is Envisions Mathematics. Envisions Math is aligned to the new GELN Essential Instructional Practices that have just released for early mathematics for preschool through 3rd grade. They have also received all green top ratings from EdReports for all K-12 grades on the 3 big areas that you can win awards for, which is focus and coherence, rigor, and mathematical practices and usability. The lessons are designed in a very easy step 1, 2, and 3 process that I will kind of dive a little bit deeper into. Right. So let's dive right in. So let's talk about how problem-based learning, we know that that's the way that students learn. You can see inside every single lesson, there is built-in error analysis that is built into the curriculum. It has a very heavy use on visual thinking. Everything in Envisions is 100% customizable, which makes it very teacher and student friendly. If you want to add problems, if you would like to omit problems, if you would like to add in test questions, or if you're a teacher in the audience and you know you might have a famous pet that your students get really used to, well, you can actually change the questions so that it now, you know, the questions is Hugo ate 4 bones, or, you know, and the kids get all excited. And so any changes that are made can be saved to what is called a playlist. You know, we used to burn CDs, so it's actually made to a playlist, and you can actually share out this playlist with other teachers. So now everybody in your grade level has these shared playlists of the altered assessments or problems and things like that, so you can use it year to year. I also just want to bring focus that a lot of this is in this presentation, that it's like there's an online component as well as there are going to be kits for every single grade, K-8 with manipulatives, and I'll get to what 9-12 get special. So here you can see the left side of the screen is your student side. So you can see it's very hands-on, it's very visually aligned. You can see there's animations at the beginning of every single lesson. It starts out with some kind of like video introduction. The curriculum is built around routines and mastery and reinforces skills. On the right side, you see what the teachers see. So you can see here that instead of posing just learning targets, what's really important here is that it poses the essential questions that students need to be able to answer. You can see here the prevent misconceptions. which is big because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And sometimes when you get these formative assessments back and you're like, wow, how did they get 12? And so basically what it does is it kind of helps walk you through how students may actually make mistakes in the problem and to help them before they can make those mistakes. Sample questions that have demand on higher thinking. You can see of all the different questioning types you can have. So right here, it lists out different questions that you can pose. So it is very teacher friendly. And of course, it does have sample student answers as well. Right? A common struggle that I hear from working closely with our teachers is if I'm pulling a small group, what are the rest of the students doing? And what we all know that teachers do is we have to plan a lesson for the kids that are getting it, and they have something to do. The kids that they're getting it, they're moving right along, what are they gonna do? The kids that are struggling, what are they gonna do? And the kids that are zooming right past it, what are they gonna do? So I wanna show you this differentiated library that is embedded in the curriculum with IOA, and I stands for intervention level, O is on level, and A is advanced level. So they have a differentiated library of different stations already made for all different types of learners to really personalize that learning. They have guided practice at all levels. What I really love about this is the math literacy that's embedded as well as vocabulary. Here is a reteach strategy for the students that need help as well as additional practice. They also have this entire section here to the right, which is kind of more of your play-based mathematics instruction. They can pick a project, they can do a STEM project, they can do a technology center which has embedded games, reinforced concepts, critical thinking, and they already have an enrichment tab already built in. So let's take a close dive on the projects. So oftentimes, we want to be able to do these fun and exciting lessons, and we just don't have, oftentimes the time, right? So in these pick a project features, it's a variety of rich projects for every single topic throughout Envisions Math. Students can have a voice and choice as to how they demonstrate their math knowledge. So they can choose, I'm going to choose B because I'm really into this. I'm going to show my learning through doing project number C because this is how I want to show this learning. So each lesson already has the list of materials, it has a lesson plan embedded, as well as a scoring rubric already available for students to be able to pick their projects. And the Pick a Project feature is available K through 8. When students get to high school, they're going to have the opportunity to be able to engage in STEM projects. It is 100% aligned to the next generation science standards. So our curriculum, what's fun, is that in two ways it embeds itself into our science curriculum Amplify. I'll show you that later. But the project-based and problem-based, you can see how it really engages them with real-life problems. The STEM aligns to the NGSS standards. And of course, they get to do that problem-based learning. As an elementary-based person, I did not know what Desmos was, but when we were presenting this and Desmos appeared, I think I see Stephanie laughing, I see every single math teacher going, yes! I'm so excited that Desmos is here. I'm like, what is Desmos? Well, it's an online graphic calculator, but it does so much more. So it's a range of math tools that students get to see. It's aligned to what they see on state assessments. Amplify Science also has Desmos, which means our curriculums are singing the same language. So they're seeing the same repetitive tools on state assessments, in their science, and now in their math. A really great feature about Envisions Math is that they have what is called a 3-act math. And what this is 3 steps This can be used on various half days. It's also embedded in the scope and sequence. It's great for sub-plans, or sometimes, your students just are in a rut and they need something fresh and new to kind of break up that monotony of the routine. So 3-Act Math is available K through 12. And Act 1 is a video that engages students, followed by a brainstorm of possible question and answer situations. So the way it was modeled in our video is the kids would go up to the carpet and they would watch this video and they would get posed a question like, how many socks fell out of the dryer as the kids walking up? That's walking in pairs, and it's teaching them skip counting. Okay? Super amazing. Act 2, the model. Students develop mathematical models to arrive at a situation. And Act 3, the resolution. So they're being able to have that productive discourse and being able to talk out their answers and possible solutions to these real-life situations that they're seeing. The resolution helps learners explain differences between their own answers and the actual solution of the problem. And they're various throughout the K-12 curriculum at every topic. Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm flying right along. All right. All right. So student-led investigation. At the high school level, it focuses on habits of mind. It asks probing questions throughout the instruction that requires students to develop the thought process and skills to problem solve. It's actually based off of the work of the 5 practices, which is what we've actually been utilizing during our time with our math professional development, along with our math consultants, is the work based on the 5 practices. This curriculum already embeds those practices here. Once again, you get to see on the right-hand side the Envision Centers, where it talks about all the different stations they can do, the reading activities are embedded, digital tools, STEM activities, the Pick a Project, and I'm going to talk to you about the black box. It's not a secret that sometimes students need additional help. Well, when they don't do well on certain problems, sometimes it might be hard to decide which students might need that additional support, or what exactly do I do with them? Do I reteach? Do I just do the problem slower? What step did they miss? So what this does is it literally lists out, if they missed question 3, you need to reteach, or you need to do section B49. And literally it maps out, if they scored this is what they need in a small group intervention the next day. So it literally gives you a box of interventions that teachers can pull for small group tier 2 intervention. Right then, on demand, you need that extra support. Practicing with a purpose. When I was teaching, not too long ago, I used to have a saying in my classroom: practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. Because if a student practices something incorrect, that is the way it's going to be embedded in their mind. And so even if you have exit tickets and you have these things, if you're not catching it before that practice is reinforced, it is really challenging to undo that learning. And I'm going to say 2 magical words about this program. And when I saw this during the presentation, it pretty much was the seal for me. Adaptive practice, where these questions come up where students might need help with this. It is bite-sized chunks so the students can be successful. If you're going through the questions and you're getting them correct, the program will scoot you right along. If you're struggling a little bit, it will kind of alter the question a little bit, maybe less challenging numbers. Okay, well, let's go back. There's a feature that you can click, help me solve this, and 2 things are available. It will walk them through the problem. Help me solve this, literally, step by step of the problem. And instead of the students being able to go, woohoo, now I know the answer's 10, I'm gonna move right along, it regenerates the question automatically, very similarly, so they can put into practice immediately what they just learned of the mini tutorial. There's also an amazing feature here called Virtual Nerd. Because math, virtual nerd. So it's literally a teacher, you can videotape, the teachers can videotape themselves. It can be a peer, but Virtual Nerd is a tutorial video that will come up that you can click, and it will be a peer or a teacher saying, okay, let's stop and let's try to solve this problem together. And it's a quick 1-minute, 2-minute video, mini tutorial, gets them back on track. They get to attempt the problem again, and then it'll automatically regenerate for them to be able to immediately apply that practice, which was pretty amazing. All the questions are read to them. I just want to say that because a lot of the curriculums we viewed, they stopped reading to students in grade 3. And when you think about students that are EL, that are second language, when you think about learners that have disabilities, are we really testing the math or are we testing their reading ability? And so this program does read to students all the way through 12th grade
As an option or always?
as an option. It can also be translated in over 60 languages.
That's huge.
Envisions understands the importance of language acquisition, and what I really loved about this presentation is that they said not every student is an English language learner, but every child is a math language learner. So they embed academic language into every single lesson to reinforce vocabulary. They have vocabulary routines. It's aligned to WIDA. So you'll see here reading, listening, representing, writing, and speaking. Here are the 5 domains. And you can see over here in the math lesson, blue and purple are highlighted, which means it emphasizes and reinforces reading and listening from WIDA. Students are you can view various different data throughout this program. You can see standard by standard how students are progressing. And as you know from standards-based grading, you typically see whether they're proficient or whether maybe they're partially proficient. But what about all that gray space in between? So for me, it was always like, well, wait a minute, are they barely off or are they way off? Because there's a difference in that spectrum of partially proficient. So you can actually break down and see where they are in their progression of standards mastery for every single standard. You can see question analysis. So you can actually see what type of questions that they are getting incorrect. It is aligned to similar questions that they see on the SAT, so you can actually break it down. There's a projected proficiency bar on here where you can actually see that this particular student may not achieve very well in geometry. These are some supports you might want to put in place before the SAT. Same thing, part of algebra, performance analysis, you can see how well that they did, as well as just looking, oh my gosh, my students missed questions 1 and 3. What was about those questions that really caught them off guard, and what do I need to maybe reteach, or how can I teach this in a different way that maybe they just didn't quite understand the first time. And of course, we know that parent engagement is absolutely huge. I'm going to just say that Virtual Nerd is available for parents as well. So they actually, in Parents Corner, they get to watch all these videos themselves as well. So in case you're like, okay, what is my child learning? I need a refresher. There's going to be videos embedded for parents as well. Envisions comes with Scout Observation Tool, where teachers have the ability to upload student work. They can upload videos. They can upload pictures of the students' work, assignments. They're doing small group work, their projects, and it can all be shared with families in a file. And once again, Virtual Nerd is available, as well as little video and vignettes about what the topic is going to cover for the unit. So the math background, similarly, at the introduction of every single unit, teachers get the opportunity to do an overview of the unit. So in case this is your first year teaching and you actually want to see it modeled in a classroom, there's an option for that. If you just want an overview of, okay, I haven't done this math in a long time and this is my first year teaching, I need a refresher, there's a video for everybody at the beginning of each topic. There are virtual workshops that teachers can also take that talk about different features of the curriculum, and it's just completely optional, but it's available to them 24/7. And they just literally click on whatever they would like to learn about, and it's available to them. There's also set professional development from Envision's company, as well as embedding it into our teacher, our Toolbox Summer Learning Workshop, getting a head start. But what I also just want to make a side note on before I finish. This is the possibility of a K-12 math curriculum. is so extremely important for kids. To be able to establish common routines, common vocabulary, common processes, and thinking all the way through. That truly is what is best for kids. And, you know, going through this curriculum review cycle and working with our math teachers this year, we were all on board with Envisions, and the possibility of a K-12 just got everybody so happy and excited. So, does anybody have any questions?
So it's software, correct?
No, well, it's both.
All software.
So every grade has a grade level kit that they would get, teacher manual, it's a whole thing. All the centers are involved, all the maths, the counting cardinality corner, all of that.
Oh, so there is.
All hands-on, totally. Oh, yeah. Like the black box is just like the instructions. Then there's a whole set of materials. So each grade has lists of all the manipulatives that they're going to get, because we know that learning is hands-on with math.
So they're not, it's fully covered in terms of supplies. There's nothing additional that teachers are going to be sending home that for the parents to have to purchase. You're fully covering, the teachers aren't going to have to worry about anything.
No, it is all inclusive. It is the online portion, it is the success maker intervention, it is their math manipulatives. Anything additional that they would want, I mean, that would just be like me being like, I really want these type of rulers, but it would come, if it asked for it in the curriculum, it would be embedded in the material list.
So
It's complete comprehensive curriculum.
So the last document you have in your packet is the cost proposals. Could you speak to the total cost approximately?
Yeah, you get that?
So the agreement you have is a 5-year agreement. So in essence, what the total cost is, we're spreading it out over 5 years. So when you do the budget allotment, there will be a portion of the new curriculum that you've allocated each year that would go towards the continuing purchase of the 5 years. But all the stuff we're getting up front, you just committed to the pricing over 5 years.
Right.
So, real quick before you do the budget, so if are there any disposable stuff in it that we wouldn't use or need to get again every year? Kind of like sometimes our science.
For science, yes, there's a consumable Excel
Right.
spreadsheet that I have and things. This would be all inclusive.
And our laptops would be able to operate on it?
Yes, oh, and fun feature, sorry, the assessment tool aligns to NWEA. I'm looking at the kids over here, because I know how much you all would appreciate your NWEA scores going right into the curriculum, so you don't have to take yet another assessment, right? So it's aligned to NWEA. So you can see the price for 912 is the most expensive, but they also have the most ancillary classes. You're talking, this is your algebra classes, your statistics, not just your tier 1, but also all of our electives. So you have your trigonometry, your personal finance, your math labs, you know, your calculus, your pre-calculus.
So the total cost is about $250,000 for K-12 math. We allocate $150,000 a year for new curriculum. So $50,000 of that each year would be allocated to the new curriculum each year going forward.
And that comes out of what fund?
There's a line item that we split between elementary, middle, and high school. Between those 3 accounts, it totals $150,000. We'll take it out of those line items each year.
It's not part of any grants or anything?
It's general fund.
General
At this point, no. However, as we've done with every grant, if we can charge it, particularly the at-risk components that are in this, we can charge those grants, we would do that. So we make sure we free up the general.
But this is general fund dollars
These
for
are-
curriculum.
They're general fund dollars for the curriculum.
And so the at-risk that you speak of, is that the differences between the tier 1 and tier 2?
So, for example, the feature where it does the, like the adaptive practice, like if you're gonna have them go on that differentiated library, then that could be, and come out of that fund if we wanted to. But most tier 1 instruction for curriculum comes out of general fund.
It's a general fund obligation, not a grant.
Right.
Before you're getting into, let's say, the tier 2, you're for kids that are struggling, or the students with IEPs or special needs, that's where we start getting into those.
And so the parents would be aware if their child moved up to the tier 2?
Well, if they're getting intervention services, yes. There's a process that they would have, whether it's a class that they're going to. Like next year, we have the support class that's attached to Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. They would know that they're in that class. If they're receiving Title I services, they would know that they get notification to receive those services, which would be your tier 2.
Okay. And you said that the teachers were all on board with this?
Yes. Yep. So the plan is to pilot K-5. And I have full pilot for grades 3, 4, 5, and one person for each grade level for K1, 2.
You also said the ISD.
Yes, so we've been working with Mr. Block and Marianne Schrock from the MISD. Math consultants have been working with us throughout the year on various different topics, and they have given us the stamp of approval saying that this would be an excellent program to have here at Richmond.
So sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a question about, so in order to, like I'm looking at some of the slides, like which is on page 7, like the question analysis, it's only as good as if you administer, say, the Unit 2 test on a computer, right? Otherwise, you have to do that question analysis on your own.
Well, yeah, but it would be no different than what teachers already do now. So, for example, you could have them take that right there on paper pencil and analyze whether they got questions 1 wrong, 2 wrong, or if they, there'll be recommendations if 60% of the class missed question 2, you might want to think about reteaching. So it still is giving you that next step for your instructional practice. It's just not as immediate as it would be graded for you online.
Right, so it would be encouraging the teachers to move towards.
It's honestly either.
I mean, I personally, as a math teacher, I would rather have that information, right? It's all about feedback and turnaround time. I would rather have that information immediately than have to sit down and be like, okay, question 1, which students got it right, which students got it wrong, and then go back to that black box of, okay, they got this one wrong, but, so this is doing that for you?
Yes. If the teachers want them to take it on the computer, they can. If they want to take it still paper pencil, that's fine too.
Gotcha.
Like, we're not enforcing how they take that assessment.
Right.
So essentially, it's not adding any more workload for them?
Oh, no. If anything, it's taking away because you're not planning for all these differentiated stations within the system. It's already giving you the supplies and materials you need to be able to differentiate your instruction for your different stations and the different various abilities. And if anything, you're going to see a higher rate of acceleration because no longer are some kids waiting for everyone else to kind of catch up. They're going to be able to go right along.
Is this going to have, are they going to have homework to do at home?
Yes, and there's adaptive homework. And guess what? I know this one is going to, you guys, there's an offline mode. So now, students can do their work offline. So in case their technology just happens to go down, you're able to still do your homework. So I know that that's going to be a really great feature.
And again, like the other programs, this data is not being shared anywhere else, just within our own system?
Yes. It's just through ours. And it's just about informing instruction, grading.
Okay, I just have a couple questions if you don't mind. One, I want to know the questions as far as when they're on the curriculum and what they're reinforcing. Does it reflect how the questions are being posed on the M-STEP and the essay?
Yes.
So it is, okay.
Oh, yes.
And then, there's no textbook, correct? Am I correct in hearing that? Or is there a textbook that goes along?
All students K-8 will receive a workbook to work out of, and that's consumable. We'll get that every year that we're 5 years. Now, high school is special, and they get a class set of the textbooks that they get checked out, as well as the online component. So they each get their own online component, but then they each get a hard copy textbook in their class.
That's it. I love the good textbook. Okay, and I think, and currently, what are we using now? Are we just going to do away with what we're using now altogether?
Well,
what will fade it in because we're starting with the K-5, correct? Okay, thank you.
And what other schools are actually doing this right now?
Currently, the one I do know that is using it right now, that I 100% know, is New Haven. I need to see what other Macomb County schools are using it.
There are 10 districts that have purchased math curriculum this year. There's a variety of programs out there. All of them have been endorsed, the ones that have been selected by the consultants that Renee and the teachers have been working with, as well as the consultants at the ISD. They've been really putting through, because countywide math is our area that we all need to improve on.
Yep.
And so they have been really critiquing the resources and books that they are going to put their name and recommend that would help math schools.
And a true K-12 math curriculum flow is what we need.
This is the first time I've stood up here, and this is my third time, and that we've been able to say K-12.
Yep.
Anybody else have any other questions?
I would just encourage the board, if you have any questions from now until the next board meeting, please call us, stop. Renee would be more than happy. She is very excited about this. I'm sure she that are also willing to share. This is a good moment for the district. And so at the next board meeting on May 22nd will be the approval of the K-12 math curriculum. The last thing I'll say is, and this is it's a finance requirement by the auditors. Because we're not paying for this all in 1 year, there is going to be a line item in the budget that says the expense is $250,000. There's a revenue for $250,000. There really isn't a revenue. And then there's a $50,000 payment each year, which is an expense. So we just have to record it the first year. We spent for the last week meeting with our auditors trying to figure out how on the books this has to be recorded. So it will all be recorded properly.
So technically from this year's general fund, it will only be $50,000.
Correct.
Thank you, Janine. Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our business and operational. Our first one is our wrestling overnight trip.
Good evening. I think from what Preston gave you in the packet, we plan on going our annual trip to Urbana, Ohio, 12th to 15th. That will be totally taken care of by the wrestling program and parents. And then this year we're attending the Disney Duels in Orlando, Florida. We're departing. We're taking 2 different means of transportation. The 21st, we'll have kids in Coachburg at the team band. And the 22nd, I'll be flying with the rest of the team to Orlando. We'll be there through the 26th. We'll fly back the 26th. And again, everything covered by the parents and the program. Any questions?
What's the reason for the 2 different modes of transportation?
Some kids and parents aren't comfortable with their children flying.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Coach Bird volunteered to drive.
Okay, all right.
Crazy.
Okay. And how many kids are we taking?
We'll be taking 20 for the first trip, and then we'll be taking 23 kids for the second trip.
For the second one? Okay.
One question I had, with the new end date of school, how does that affect any students, or how does that affect?
No, well, we actually, in Urbana, we're supposed to leave the 11th, and so we're leaving the 12th right after school. And the head coach, Coach Jordan, actually reduced the original cost of camp. He gave us a reduced rate because we're missing the first day. Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our football overnight trip. Mr. Misko.
Hi. So this will be our third time, trying to go back to Olivet for our football overnight camp, second time in a row. It'll be July 17th through the 19th. We actually decided to shorten it a day this year, because last year it was, kids and coaches alike were pretty exhausted after the 4 days. So we're going one night shorter, which still is going to allow us to get all the work in that we got last year. And the kids had a really good experience, so we're looking forward to heading back.
This says July 24th.
Oh, sorry, I was a week ahead of time.
Okay.
No, that's right, that's correct. Sorry. I was thinking of the youth football. Sorry. Yeah, 24
Oh, you're thinking the
plus
camp
6.
here that we
Yes,
did.
that one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, no, I apologize. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And then any high school age, it's not just varsity players,
Correct.
or is it?
So what we're doing this year is we're taking all the kids, sophomores up that want to go, that one's for sure. And then this year what we're going to do is I'm actually going to talk with the freshmen, because last year we did have one of our freshmen was, when we got there, he just wasn't ready to be away from home, kind of thing. So we're going to make sure we kind of conference with the parents ahead of time, and just make sure that they're ready to be away from home for, away from mom and dad.
Right. Okay.
It says there's no current chaperones outside of the coaching staff. Is that because nobody signed up to go, or is that not extended to?
No, I mean, I guess, I guess a chaperone could come that wasn't a coach. It's just, I don't know, it's during a work week, and, we have kind of sufficient coverage with, the staff that I have, and, it's, you're sleeping in a dorm cot.
And isn't it a coaches and players thing?
Yeah,
so you don't need chaperones?
Effectively, it's just, it's a, kind of preseason installation period / team building, bonding.
No, that's it exactly.
When you said the freshmen, is that the incoming freshmen?
Correct, yeah, the incoming freshmen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so last year, I believe we ended up having 6 incoming freshmen actually stayed the whole time.
Oh, wow, okay.
And they got a lot out of it, and, it is quite the experience, especially for, a 13, 14-year-old that's
on a college
not
campus.
been away from home for, and last year it ended up being, I want to say close to about 18 hours of actual football time on the field, and, even the college coaches were like, wow, coach, that's a lot of work. And I was like, yeah, it's really hot out here.
Right.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, just for any of these events, in 2 weeks, we will vote on it, so you'll know if it's been approved. Okay, next item on our agenda is our MISD fiscal 2024 budget presentation. Sandy?
Yep, no, I didn't realize it was Candace and I, so that's my fault. But basically, Candace did attend with myself and Mr. Walmsley, at the MISD, the Michigan-Macomb County Budget meeting on April 13th. But before that, everybody received this booklet, so I'm not going to go through all of that. Just like there was 3, I know there was 3 different slides that you guys obviously that are quite thick. So I'm not going through all of those either. I'm just going to do a brief, the services that they offer and things like that. And then I'm going to ask Candace and Mr. Walmsley if they have anything to add, and then probably Mr. Walmsley can actually talk more about the numbers part, to be honest with you. Okay? So when we were there, actually they all have so many different programs, I never even realized how much they do offer. It's quite incredible, actually. But they support all districts. There's 21 districts in Macomb County, and they support all districts with things like including curriculum, instruction, assessments, special education, business services, technology, and human resources. They assist districts with NWEA reimbursement, cover school, professional learning, literacy training for K through 12 teachers, literacy kits for early childhood students, and STEM literacy kits, summer school programs and resources. CTE programs, they actually hold, and I didn't know this either, but they hold a MCTEAA award ceremony annually to honor local districts, students doing, outstanding, and I think that that's pretty cool. Didn't know that they did that. The MISD partners with County Executor's Office of Macomb Community College, and Macomb Community College to put on Manufacturing Day every year, and they hosted 14,000 students today. Yeah, that's a lot, right? GSRP is a grant funded by the state that is administered by the MISD, and all 21 districts participate in that. All 21 districts participate in the early middle college. The MISD is committed to literacy. They talked a lot about that. They did a whole presentation on it, which you can see in there. They offer all kinds of things like learning modules, K-5, coaching networks, intervention networks, elementary principal networks, things like that. They have a new teacher academy the MISD has a new teacher academy that have 550 teachers enrolled, and they offer 41 different sessions, including math, literacy, STEM, staff self-care, teacher passion and purpose, and many, many more, as you can see in the things that were provided. The special education, there are 19 special education programs. There are several LEA centers, but unfortunately none of them are north of Utica. Which I didn't really, I guess I knew that, but I didn't really realize that until I was there. There are also several MISD programs where they specialize in equipment and specialize in, when children need special equipment, medical needs are being met. Special education management services, IEP implementation, parent participation, properly review and revision to IEPs. They have early intervention programs, support for services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, teacher consultants for visual impaired, teacher consultants for deaf and hard of hearing, orientation and mobility specialists. And lastly, I do have here in my notes that they transport children, and they travel over 14,000 miles a day. But anyways, the buses do it per day. Anyways, that is kind of the notes I took from there. There's a ton of information inside these or whatever. I don't know if Candace or Brian have anything that they would like to add.
Yeah, so my biggest thing was when, last fall when I went to the MASD conference in Traverse City, the biggest takeaway that I had was how as a district with just this many employees and this much funding, do we provide education for all of our community of students and children, that even with the special needs, so many special needs out there. And I remember driving back telling Angela, we would have to put handicap ramps in and, all these things, yet at the same time, our statement is provide, education for, all students. And so going to that meeting really made everything come full circle for me to learn about the ISD and how that is our outsource for that, all of that part, and how important they're playing a role in our community of students with special needs. And it sounds like this new facility that they're building is pretty freaking amazing. I wish there was, like she said, there's nothing north of Hall Road. I mean, I wish there was something a little more north, but this facility is super cool that they're building, that they're budgeting for. It's state of the art for sure.
So I believe that at the next board meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wellesley, at the next board meeting, that we have to either support or...
Yeah, in your backup, there are 3 resolutions that the board is for. In the past, the board has supported the ISD, but there's a support with recommendations, or there's a non-support. So if the board is, there's no concern concerns or questions, then I would prepare the resolution for next board meeting for a vote of support of the MISD budget. Just a couple of things in their general fund and in the yellow document pages, they have $122 million in expenditures that they budget for. The blue document in your packet is $229 million in special ed funds that they allocate, and you see all the backup behind it. They have a capital projects, kind of like our fund balance. They have to put money aside to fix problems, buildings, etc. They have $69 million, almost $70 million in there. And then you'll see in November of 22, the voters approved a $97 million in a special ed bond project. So they'll be replacing some buildings and upgrades to buildings. So all this in the backup. I would recommend the board, I know I don't have a vote on this, but they do a remarkable job for supporting the local 21 districts. I would support it, but I would recommend supporting their project.
And their bond doesn't even cover the cost of this new state-of-the-art building either. I mean, it's not even close.
And if anybody has any questions, like, I'll be happy to try to answer or whatever. There's just so much information. There's, you know what I mean? There's no way for us to go through everything. We'd be here for hours.
Are we in agreement as a board that
Did
we
they
want
have
to
to discuss
support?
what they're accounting for next year as far as per pupil allocation?
There's a little different funding than
They don't
us.
get.
They do get per pupil in terms of some of the special ed. They are planning similar to what we are. A lot of the districts have been meeting with the superintendents this past Thursday and Friday. A lot of them are, many districts are right now where we're at, middle of the road with 3 budgets.
They did also talk about, I thought they mentioned something about the bailout and us not having to, like, is that possibility, Brian, do you know what I'm talking about?
If you recall, several years ago in the legislature, they paid the debt of Detroit Public Schools and zeroed that out. It basically equates to, I believe it was $70 per child for the next 10 years. And the meaning, I just did the quick math. For Richmond and that parent, that's $1 million that would have been out of the state aid that could have gone to Richmond that eliminated the debt of a Detroit Public School. And that's happened every district. But that's one way they paid it. So they did talk about that in terms of that lost revenue for all of our districts, including the ISD, because of the decisions that were made to remove that debt.
And when was that going to be up again?
It was 10 years was the estimate, so we're probably 4 or 5 years into the second term, probably 6 years into it now, so another 4 years. I mean, it was paid, but it's just, it's money that was in the school aid that could have been redirected towards schools.
But that doesn't mean we're getting that money back, just so you understand that,
I thought
yeah. It's
they
not that
did
means.
mention something about that no longer, like, possibly us not having to pay that anymore. They did mention something about that. There are.
No, it was already paid.
Yeah, I was trying to also do that again in Oakland County, right? Unless that's budget.
I mean, I
Yes,
guess that's probably
maybe that
more
was
like a
what it was.
legislative update. I'm not saying that that's something that they've done. I'm just saying that they've talked about that possibly being passed, where that would be forgiven, per se. Am I correct?
There was something to it. There was something to it. Like, either they were trying for more or...
Mr. DeVault's statement is that this is dollars that the legislature already committed to, that is in the school aid fund that could have been allocated. It's done. So when that 10-year period is done and they're kind of finished paying that money is back to the legislature.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
And we won't get it.
Okay,
It was a lot.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, ladies, for attending. And I'm assuming we are, so Mr. Walmsley, no, we're going to approve the resolution?
I'm for it, yeah.
I can't speak to it.
Oh,
I'm an
that's
employee
right.
of the ISD. Yep.
Angel?
I would support it.
Yes. Okay, so Mr. Walmsley is our statement for the next board meeting. Okay, next item on our agenda is our fiscal 24 budget discussion. Mr. Wamsley?
In your packet, you'll see the latest budgets that
were not available at the last board meeting. So in front of you on the screen in your packet, you will see this is the governor's budget and what they're estimating for Richmond schools. When you look at the net of this budget, it nets a total increase of $950,000. Again, they're assuming per pupil stayed the same. So the foundation allowance would increase $458 to $9,608, which is approximately what they're saying with no decrease in enrollment, a $750,000 cost. There is a new line item budget in the governor's, which is 35J, which would be for professional development, about $165,000. There's a special education foundation increase for Richmond, it's about $61,000. There's 35A early literacy grant, which we currently get, another $17,000. You can see the net result will be $950,000. This is primarily what we have been budgeting, and it's where a lot of the dollars that we've been talking about the last couple of meetings are numbers. You'll see the house budget, and again, I'm going to have to kind of change the house budget as a $366 per pupil increase. You'll see which nets us a change of $574, which is less than the governor's. But when you look at the other items in the budget, this is where it's a categorical. Usually we're limited on where those dollars can be spent. So the first one, that 211, is 31A at risk, which would be an increase of $211,000. Some of our classes that we pay for at risk, our counties we pay for at risk, or we have been in the past. So again, those are to continue. 31AA, mental health, they're continuing, they're adding that again in next year's budget, which is about the same as we got this year, a little slightly different, but about the same. 35A, they have an early literacy, which you've had in the past. They also have 35 early literacy instruction training. Again, some of these details, we don't even know what the requirements are, but they're estimating $158,000. Special ed foundation change, increasing that will be another $106,000. Currently, our special ed costs, and when we get reimbursement, we don't even get the full amount of our reimbursement. So this would help offset our current cost. The school safety grant, which we received currently this year, they're allocating $173,000. And then they have this 1% to be used. Basically, this is the money that they send you, you turn around and send it back to the state to help pay the retirement cost, and they're allocating $90,000. So this is a $1.5 million swing, but you'll notice a lot of the dollars are in categoricals. The next one is the Senate, and forgive me on this one because it's the headers do not always move with them, so I can make that. So Richmond schools, highlighted in yellow, you'll see the first column. You'll see the first column, they're increasing the per pupil to $9,700, which is an estimated $846,000 increase per pupil. Again, that's not taking into consideration any loss of students. The one thing that the House, or excuse me, the Senate does in their budget is they combine the school safety and the mental health into one pot of money, where the other ones had two separate categoricals. They increased at-risk money, $113,000. And then there's the early literacy, again, which equates to 1.2. So the governor's budget is has the most flexibility for the districts to choose how they allocate. But when you start looking at the Senate, it's very specific, some of those pots of money that can only be for certain things. In your packet, I also provided you a side-by-side comparison. So when you look at per pupil, you can kind of see what's the governor, the House, and the Senate. There will be some statements in here that they all concur, and so forth. So in the budget process, to get a final number from the state, right before Memorial Day, they'll hold the May revenue estimating conference on Manitoba Highway. That's where they'll finalize the numbers. Based on my meeting with the superintendents last week and our legislators, they are not anticipating any final budget till mid-June, towards the end of the June. And at that process, we have to make the assumptions. So my recommendation is we continue down the governors. It's the middle of the road of the two. There's definitely, all three have the appetite to give schools money this year. It's just whether they're going to do it categorically. There is a push to have money taken off the top to pay the unfunded or the retirement costs. Part of that reason is because charter schools in many cases do not have that liability that public schools. And so then it would free up our costs that is going to retirement in the general fund. So it's a shall be, but it benefits public schools. You'll also see in two of these budgets, I know we've talked about that for many years, and it's always been the same, but there is some discussion in that fashion. So with that, did I put this together? No, I couldn't. This was put together by the business director at the MISD. It was sent Chris Paul.
From Michigan School Business Division.
Michigan School Business Division.
It just really helps explain a lot of the budget, what's the difference, what's going on, so I really appreciate that document.
So I will then, the Excel sheet, give me a second. So let's talk about expenses that we are obligated to. At the last board meeting, we did a budget conversation regarding, and I will increase this so you can see it. Okay, so if you look at, I didn't, because this is kind of the conversation. This is what you had left. We are budgeting for 28.5 FTEs down. When, again, if you looked at the enrollment projection, again, and with this small, we looked at it, moving kids up, doing the blended count, it actually shows that we should be down 28.5 FTEs. Using the budget of $450 per pupil increase, that nets about $450,000 of revenue to reallocate. This is assuming this line item right here, expenses, we take everything we're doing now, we roll it forward. We take all the revenue that we have and we roll it forward. So business as usual. So now we just have to, okay, where is this $450,000 going to be allocated? So we have contract obligations that we have agreed to. So here's the per pupil funding right here, the $450. There's two columns here. I want you to pay attention to the one on the right. There is a projected of $165,000 in the governor's budget, but I did not include that in terms of allocation because we have no direction on what that can and can't be allocated for at this moment. We have a projection of about $157,000 in our increase to our MIPS revenue, and it's a calculation of a lot of factors, but that revenue will be increased. The special education foundation increase that we were projecting about $61,000 increase. The MISD enhancement millage that was passed that generated about $65 million in 2020. It's a 10-year millage from that. We generate about $40,000 in additional revenue. We have some expiring voluntary severance options, so that include other costs too in that. Any other additional be outside the payment. So now you start looking at, if you go through and look at the contract. If we take educational parapros, which make up Title I, special education, 31A parapros, We have some culinary arts parapro, the media specialist parapro. To honor what we agreed in their contract, it's about $17,282 increase. All of these contract obligations include healthcare cost increases. So the assumption is whatever plan that person has now, we're building the budget for that for next year. Again, when they do their open enrollment, all that can change, but we're including that healthcare increase. Food service department, it's about a $10,000 increase to their contract to give them what we're obligated to give them. You'll see that that's $0 because that comes out of the food service budget, not the food service fund, not the general fund. The Richmond Education Association increase is about $60,000. That includes, again, healthcare increases, current salaries that will be projected for next year, like the retirement, all that stuff. Some of these accounts, like in the administrators and the teachers, there are positions that we budgeted for, we reduced because they weren't there a full year this year. We're planning the full year next year. So some of the costs, we now assume the full year cost. Like for instance, a good example would be the middle school dean. There was a void in some of the time period. So in this year's cost, we have some savings, if you will, but next year we have the full cost of that. Moving teachers, moving all their healthcare increases. Again, it's across the board. Everybody's got a healthcare increase. The hard cap is going up for the district, so our obligation is to pay more of the healthcare costs. When you account for where people are on steps, this number has positions that are budgeted that are currently vacant, but we kept them in the budget for next year. So I just want to make sure, like, we have a teacher that's on leave, that position is still budgeted in that dollar value. Secretarial contract is a $13,000 increase. Bus driver, the secretarial, I'm going to go down here to the bottom. This includes the current vacancy of the Director of Athletics Secretary, and then the previous high school secretary. There was a void when the person left and the new person started. So the dollars for next year are for the entire year. So we built the budget on that one. Bus drivers, you see it's a $49,000 increase. This is assuming we're bringing back the Turtle Run, so I'm bringing another bus driver to accommodate for that run. So that's why there is a significant, that's a whole other driver. We took it out in this year because we ran it this year without it. We reduced because we were struggling getting bus drivers. This number may change as we start talking about the two-tiered bus system. Lunch aids, we budgeted, it's $36,000. We budget, start every year with 5, 5, and 2. We don't usually get that many, but this budget represents 5 lunch aids at the elementary, 5 at the middle school, and 2 at the high school. Again, filling them has been challenging, so usually at the amendment time, we will reduce that down to what we actually have. Any questions on contract costs right now? So when I'm talking, I just want to remind you, when I'm talking, it's not only the health care, but it's also if there is a longevity payment or an annuity payment or something, all of those costs are in that number. So if you take what we had, $450,000 of additional revenue based on 28 students down, you add and subtract all of these numbers, we're at about $61,000 left of unspent capital. So rolling everything over, putting everything in place that we did, filling every vacancy that we can, or you build your budget for it, we have $61,000 to allocate. Now, any questions at this point? All right, so we're going to talk about a two-tiered bus system. It's been tossed around as a possible way to help with alleviate transportation concerns. Basically, a two-tiered bus system is we have 2 start times for school. We would have an elementary start time and a middle and high school start time. And then one school would get dropped off in the morning, the buses would go back out and pick up the rest of the kids and drop them off. There needs to be 1 hour difference between those start times. So for instance, if elementary was the early start time, and if that's something the board wants to consider, my recommendation from a child care arrangement for parent would have elementary start first. So if you started elementary at 7:30, high school and middle school, the earliest they could start would be 7 or 8:30. Going 7 hours, which means elementary would get out at 2:30. Middle school and high school would not get out until 3:30. That poses problems and challenges with after-school programs, athletic, etc. Similar to what we do right now when we got students that leave. There's no good fix, but what it would do is it would eliminate our wait lists on our buses, because you're basically, not exactly, but basically half the students you're bringing in the morning. Most of the ridership is elementary, and then 6 through about 9, 10 is the next largest ridership. And then your high school and middle school. It would put more spaces on the bus so that we could eliminate the wait list that we currently have. Again, because of the shift of not running the turbo bus. So what is that $297,000, what is it made of? Moving bus drivers to be basically 7 hours and 30 minutes a day, the actual runs. About $136,000 in payroll and benefit costs increase by every time. It averages, looking at our gas actual costs that we've done over the last couple of years, we spend about $80,000 in gas a year. If you're doubling the runs and the buses are basically doing 2 routes, you're going to double, so we would need another approximately $80,000 in what we call gas and maintenance. That's tires and oil changes and all that stuff. And then finally, depending on how it would be phrased, we could either institute single subscriber healthcare, which is what we do with many of the other paras and secretarial groups. Typically, it's during the measurement period, so they don't qualify for that benefit until a year later, because they're asking the measurement. But if you wanted to implement that, at some point you're going to have that cost, because if we do have them do 2 runs, they're going to qualify because they hit over 30 hours a week, and we're going to have that cost at a future date. But if you wanted to institute insurance immediately as part of the benefit, it's approximately $82.60 per employee for a single subscriber hard cap. That's what we pay, and the dental and vision that's associated with the single subscriber. There are, of the 11 bus drivers, 1 currently receives insurance because they qualify. So we would have to buy basically 10 more insurance packages, which would total be $82,000. So that's where that $297,000 may come. So if you're putting this 297 in this column, and you're basically zeroing out this column, the net is our expenses exceed our revenues by $185,000 if we were to move towards a 2-tier bus system.
And the 2-tier bus system, that doesn't help us at all with athletic transportation at all.
It does not. This is assuming 11 bus drivers. In fact, I would venture to say the 2-tier may become more problematic. Though if I have less students on the bus.
Because we don't transport.
Correct.
So it can't be more.
But if we had 11 drivers, a 2-tier will allow you to combine bus runs on the afternoon to free up 1 driver to do athletics.
A 2-tier helps that.
It would help. That's assuming, though, we have 11 bus drivers.
Right.
We don't have 11 bus drivers.
So do you think that we would need, is all of them to be full-time, like, you need all of them to run twice?
Well, if you take a bus driver starts approximately 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, they leave the bus yard. So there's an hour before they get to the first stop, the school. They have another hour that they are out picking up the next run and coming back. And then you have about anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes of them going from the second school back to the bus yard doing the checkup. So that's basically 2 hours and 45 minutes. Double that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. would we need to double it because after-school programs and things like that? Like, would we need as many buses doing the after-school runs?
You would need at least 11 drivers if you want to have at least one bus to do runs. Because that doesn't include the time that the bus driver does field trips during the day. So even though they're not 7 hours and 30 minutes each day, on average, when you count all those other times, it's going to average about 7 hours.
And I didn't see on there, I know I see you zeroed something out, but like, where's the cost that we currently pay for the current bus system? Like, did we deduct that?
That's the 49 to put the turtle bus back, so we can get the 11. We would need to budget another 49,920 in next year's budget, which is the bus drivers increase in their rates of pay, FICA, et cetera, plus the 11th bus driver. And we would.
Okay, and then it's
so then
separate
the
if you want to
200
do the two-tiered.
It would be separate because in the
different.
two-tiered, part of that 45 is in that two-tiered cost already.
So if we added the turtle bus back, does that help us at all as far as the numbers of kids in our bus?
Oh, yeah, it would eliminate our wait list.
Sure.
And
We tried all year getting a bus
but
driver.
it's finding
But
the
either
bus
way,
driver.
we're not going to have a bus driver. I mean, you need 11
more
to go on two-tier, and we need how many if we were to go and have the turtle back on?
On a two-tiered bus,
Yeah.
you could run an afternoon on 10 buses, but that gives you that one for athletics, which we're struggling finding the athletic ones now.
Brian, my children's bus is way more full in the afternoon than it is in the morning.
I would agree with you that is, a lot of times, just looking at the parking lot, there's a lot of people who drive their kids in the morning. There also are kids that drop off at houses and someone watching their kids to bring them in or they're in my school. But in the afternoon, there's a lot more.
So if that's the case, then, I know we're talking budget now, but just you mentioned that your recommendation would be that the high school start later.
If you're looking
And
at
then
a
they get out
time,
later.
correct. because
Where I
if you-
feel like, I'm sorry, I feel like then the childcare issue is more going to be after school and not in the morning.
Correct.
So why would we reverse that?
If I'm a parent and I don't use childcare, and I rely on a 6th through, or middle school through high school student to watch my child in the morning.
I think they rely on more after school is what I'm saying, instead of in the morning. I mean, if the buses are more empty in the morning, because parents are taking their kids to school in the morning and then going to work. And then after school, their older kids are watching them.
You're gonna have both, you're gonna see both
Sure,
situations.
sure, not everybody's
The thought process is the student's already at school, we can get them to a childcare arrangement
I see.
and not have the parent have to worry their child's gonna get off in the bus, nobody's home. And so-
But then is that free childcare?
No,
Okay.
I didn't budget for childcare. But it would reduce some childcare costs in the morning. All of these have pluses and minuses.
Sure.
If we're struggling getting morning childcare workers to work an hour and basically a half in the morning, now we're having them work an hour and 15 minutes, and we're starting school at 7:30. I don't think people want to get up for an hour and 15 minutes at 6:15 in the morning. But then in the afternoon, you're adding some longer childcare longer in the afternoon, in this case 15.
We get back time over the budget, just thought, in
So-
regards to the time.
The other
that
piece
gets
to that is if you look at any research, the high school students typically need to start later. And all research show that if they start later, they're more successful than the elementary. I know that sounds crazy.
No, I actually agree with that.
Right, so you have that piece out there too.
So I guess the thought that we need to think about, and again, I'm not asking for direction here tonight, because I know a lot of people want to process and they're probably going to come up with 10 more questions or things that they think about. Is this something we want to pursue in that two-tier? Because if it is, it's going to change our overall makeup of the budget in terms of we'll actually be spending more than our projected revenue that we're getting. Now, when all the dust settles and the budgets are signed, we may not. I mean, we don't know what that final allocation is. But if we're taking the middle of the road of the governor, which is 458, I mean, and I'll just throw this on there, even if they gave us 500, that changes to 515, you can see how it now switches our revenue completely.
I think there's something in the legislature right now for transportation that is on the table or did just get approved.
There are some in the line items when you look at the different budget on transportation, but now it's the negotiating process. It's going to see what actually ends up being in the final budget.
So when is that the one where it goes, it's rural stuff and we don't
I think this is something
factor into that?
There's some legislators who have realized that a district in southern Macomb County, I won't name names, has no transportation and gets the same per pupil as we do. And then there's a district like us who transports hundreds and thousands of miles a day. And so we have less of a per pupil that goes to the classroom than other districts. So there are legislators who want to kind of take out transportation and separate that into something, maybe reimburse districts on that. And there's a lot of ideas out there, but we submit a report, this is how many miles our buses ride every year, our costs, the bid report, isn't it? Amy? The bid report?
Yeah, we do a transportation report.
So we do a transportation, that gives exactly how many miles, what we spend. That's how our field trip rates are determined. That $4 or $5 is cost per, is our actual cost per mile it takes in our district.
So you say now the two-tier transportation and.
I do not have two-tier budget in this.
Okay, so
That's zero
where
out.
is the budget for the current one that we have?
The current one would be right here, 49,920, which adds the turtle run back. Again, just puts the position in the budget, still gotta find someone, and pays the bus drivers an increase similar to what other people have.
But
They don't
where's the
pay.
current one? It's not the turtle bus. It's all of the other buses. Is that not?
It's about $40,000 for a bus run. So if your bus increase, if you didn't run the turtle, it's going to be about $9,000. All the salary increases, it's going to be less than that.
So when you say 297, you're talking above what we're already paying?
It costs $297 to do two-tier busing. That's the figure. An additional $297.
That's okay.
So if you remember in the budget, I'm assuming our transportation cost here stayed the same in the budget. All the line items approved back in February, March stay the same. To pay their contract and for next year, any increases that are due, add that turtle run, it's $49,000 more than what we currently budgeted. If you want to do two-tiered, it's $297,000 more than the current budget. And that's because of the increase in payroll, gas and maintenance, and insurance.
And what's it gonna solve? Because if you're saying nothing, right? Because if you're saying you're going to put that turtle bus back on, you need the extra driver. So I don't understand why we were even talking about two-tier buses. Am I missing something?
If you take your buses, and just, I mean, you're taking almost, it's actually about 40% of the ridership off the bus on the first run. That's your middle school, high school students.
I know, but you said the turtle bus, that would solve, that would relieve some, the numbers on the bus. So is the reality, we just gotta find another driver so that we can
If
get
we
a
could find
turtle
another
back.
driver, it would relieve all of us. Nobody would be on a rate that we would have 11
So
runs.
we wouldn't have to worry about spending an extra $297,000.
Right, but I think part of the idea was that they would attract that full-time position with health insurance would attract.
More hours, more insurance, that's the attraction. Because right now, if I go to New Haven, I believe they get a minimum of either 5 or 6 hours minimum that they get.
Okay, but let me just throw this out then. If the attraction is to get a full-time and the benefits, then let's transport athletics. And then that would make someone have a longer day. If I'm doing this and knowing that I'm taking the basketball teams or baseball teams or whatever What does that number look like?
But right now, we have 10 bus drivers. And they're all out on the run. I do not have a driver to come back to transport.
I know, but you're talking about the 11th, getting the 11th driver. I'm just saying, to me, if I'm gonna spend money, rather than $297,000 to solve or not solve a problem, if I'm getting an extra driver, getting the turtle bus back, and that opens up to where I can start transporting athletics and giving drivers more hours somehow, that's
I think
better.
you're gonna need more than the turtle bus.
You're gonna need more
We would
than
need
Okay,
two more
but it's
buses.
already $297,000 worth.
You're gonna need probably another 40,000, so you're at 80,000,
Okay, but
80,000.
all I'm throwing out there is it's not $297,000.
Correct, you're absolutely right. It would not be the 290,000.
I think
At
it's a
some point,
priceless
though.
fix for not getting a text message saying children don't have bus service tomorrow. The night before they don't have service. I mean, that is,
That can happen whether you have 11 drivers or not.
oh, it's happened many times this
But
year.
I'm saying, that's going to happen. That's humans get sick, they can't come to work. That kind of stuff happens.
Well, and what concerns me is now
Just
that
reason
It's not
that
acceptable.
it happens.
It's not acceptable.
I know, but what
It's not
concerns me
acceptable that people get sick.
It's not acceptable to cancel bus service.
well, it has to happen. It's not acceptable that it has to
I mean,
happen.
it
It's inevitable.
is happening,
But,
obviously,
what my concern is you're saying that we would end the elementary at what, 2:30 was it?
They have a
And then
7-hour
they
day.
only have an hour to get out and back. How many buses are going to be late for that second run to take kids home that second time because of traffic, just for
Which-
whatever reason? That's what I would.
With a 2-tiered run, when you have like a snow day, you see Utica's releasing early. They have 2, 3, 4-tier run buses, so they have to release students because of that issue. If buses are out and the roads are bad, it's going to take longer. So they release the early schools sooner so the buses can come back. If there's an accident and the bus can't get back, then we're shuffling students on the buses. A 2-tier gives us more room to shuffle kids. Because I might be able to combine two buses because they're not full. Or you got 2 buses with kids into one because they're not full, but it's going to be a longer bus ride home. Because now they got to cover 2 runs or 2 routes.
Have we ever talked about reducing our busing again to maybe like a mile within a mile of the school you don't walk?
We're a mile right now.
Right, a mile.
We're a mile now. So if you want to move to a mile and a half, that would reduce membership. It would reduce a lot,
I think
create a lot of angry citizens.
Okay, so we all have something to think about here. If you have additional questions on this, please make sure you get with Brian before our next meeting.
So I do want to point out in this, and I just looked at my notes and realized I didn't say that. So you have lunch aids on here. There's 55,000 in what are called non-union contracts. Those are central office, technology, transportation, mechanic, alternate. Those are people who aren't part of a collective bargaining agreement. Again, it's a similar increase that's budgeted for with others. There is a projected contract settlement based on our cost proposal with negotiating the early learning childcare center. What's on the table is approximately a $22,000 increase in childcare costs. And then there you have the bus so I forgot. In this budget, you'll see that we increased the MIT enhancement millage. The conservative number is a 5%. That could be more. My concern on this number is if this is based on February's count, we're not going to get that full amount because our February count is less than our total count. So we may use a break even. Again, this budget still considers 28.5 FTEs less next year. It assumes the governor's $458 per pupil. And then all those other categoricals I mentioned when we looked at the budget, I didn't include those because those are specific money in, money out for a specific purpose. You really don't have a whole lot of discretion on what that is. questions at this point? So at the next budget, or next meeting, on May 22nd, we'll be bringing you athletic costs, what it actually, when it was, Mr. Trent regarding what it actually costs and supplies and budget to run sports. We'll be looking at the curriculum and recurring and new budgets as we lay out. And they did a great job putting a template together to give you a visual of past curriculums that we've approved and then what the cost each year is for like the supply budget. And then the other thing that we are working on by building is establishing a building supply, basically, do basic supplies, grants, pencils, papers, etc., that come out of that we can tell parents. You don't need to buy them. These are basic supplies for the classroom. We're not going to get people buying anyways, but we've been working with the building principals to create that supply list for each building to be able to sort of caution out what that is. Any other questions? Stay tuned for more questions.
Again, I just want to reinforce that if you have questions or you need additional information over the next 2 weeks, please get a hold of Mr. Mosley so that when we have our discussions we what we want to ask.
When are we having a real presentation for the two-tier bus? Is there something in the works?
What are you looking for? What's the difference would you like to see?
Well, I mean, has the transportation department really looked at the allocations in terms of, okay, we have this many high school students, this is where they live?
Yeah, they actually, on the half day of, I believe it was winter break in February, when we had those, they actually all ran the runs and did timing. That's how I know I need 1 hour between dropping off kids and going to pick up another group and bring them back. I've got all the routes for the teacher, and I can show them to you, but it's just a bottom line dollar that if you're going to do it, then that would be the cost we need. And I'm going to tell you, there are some bus drivers we have who do not want full-time hours. They're happy with just, so that's another balancing act that we would have to be looking at. But you want copies of the runs and the routes I can use?
No, I just wondered
But no,
how deep
they actually took the buses out and ran it on the day that we didn't have students. We lived in the community of the teachers.
But we did the train driver, and then we lost them to New Haven or somewhere because they were getting full-time. We spent the time invested to train them, and we lost them. Did that happen?
We have trained bus drivers, and we have lost bus drivers because in other districts they're getting more hours. Our pay is more than them, but they're getting more hours than they have paid.
Okay, next item on our agenda is a girls basketball overnight trip to Maine.
Good evening. July 18th through July 20th, we were planning on taking 8 to 10 girls from our varsity girls basketball team to Northwood University. They'll be spending the nights in the dorms, the parents, and our fundraising is taking care of the girls.
So the 8 to 10 girls, you already know, you got those girls, were you looking to ask girls, how are you doing?
Right now, I think we had 8 commitments.
Okay.
And it's pretty much going to be from 9th to 12th.
Okay.
So even, we might get a couple girls from the 8th grade maybe.
Okay.
But it's not going to go over 10.
What made you pick
This is the second year, like they're like one of the top basketball camps in the state. And they're very competitive. There's like a lot of Class A schools there. And last year our girls had a great time. There's a lot of team building activities.
Okay.
They do scavenger hunts, and they do some cornhole, at night. And they have a fun time with it. The Northwood coaches and their girls basketball players actually stay in the dorm with them. So they chaperone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a really good time with them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, no,
another,
I just
there's
wondered.
another camp at Adrian too that's pretty good.
Okay.
Northwood is like the top one.
Okay, very good.
Anyone else have any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
We'll be going on in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our superintendent, district and legislative update. Mr. Wilson.
Okay, I'll start with our legislative update. You received a copy of the 3 budgets that are out there. Again, the anticipation for the budgets to be decided will not be until after the revenue sharing conference in May, and more likely it won't be until the middle of June. So we will be building the budget on many assumptions. The repeal of the A to F ranking system is heading to the governor. I don't believe she signed it. She might have, and I just missed it, but it's heading to the governor last Wednesday. The Senate passed the House bill which repealed the revised school code that said we have to give schools A to F rankings. There's a great video online that was put out by Northfield Schools that really articulates that you could have basically 5 schools that are all in the same group, size, wide, etc. And when they compare them, someone in that 5 could have to have an A and someone has to have an F. And they all could be performing at 90% proficiency. So the system is flawed to begin with. And so that is a repeal that is expected to be signed by the governor. County updates. At the next board meeting, just to remind the board, you will be getting information after May 15th of the 2 candidates that are running for the MISD school board.
Didn't we? I
Did you get it? All right. The deadline to withdraw their candidacy is the 14th, so beginning May 15th, but prior to June 1st, the board has to have 2 meetings to consider the candidates and then elect someone to cast a vote, consider the candidates, and tell the person, we want you to cast a vote for this candidate. So prior to the May 22nd meeting, if the board wants their vote heard, we'll have to do a special meeting. It can be like just 15 minutes prior to the original, because you got to have it by June 1st. And you do not have 2 meetings between now, May 15th and June 1st. So,
Is this the one where someone has to go cast the vote? Yes.
and the board will tell them, we want you to cast a vote for this person. At the elementary school, last Thursday, there was a spelling bee contest. Ms. Ranger, the sponsor, organized it. Tyrus, I probably spelled the name wrong because it was Russian, so I apologize. Perulski won first, and Logan Gillis took second. I was not able to attend. There was something lengthy today, but looking at the pictures, they had a great turnout. 3rd grade did a great job. The ELA on the M-Step. Upcoming is the preschool field trip to BBC Park, which will take place on May 10th. The Exotic Zoo will be there to put on the field trip. You recall there was some of the stuff that the PTO put on with the snakes and sloths and all that previous one, so it's part of that. Preschool end of the year parties will take place on Friday the 19th. Cross your fingers for good weather. The first one in the morning is for preschool for the AM at 10 a.m. and the second celebration will be in the afternoon for PM preschoolers. Popsicles for parents will take place on May 31st at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for preschool families. Preschool graduation is scheduled for June 1st at 9 a.m. for the 3-year-olds and 1 p.m. for the 4-year-olds. This is a great statistic for Lee. Last year at this time in April, they had 727 total absences the month of April. This year, they were able to reduce it to 464. That is a 60% drop. We all know that more kids in school means better learning, less disruption. So kudos to the staff at Lee. That's been a major focus of theirs. June 5th at the middle school is scheduled to be their field day. I saw information just went out on that. It's exciting that they have their field day planned. At the high school, congratulations to the Blue Devil Track Team, Class A championships at this year's Spring Flame Tournament. We had the top 10 celebration tonight at the Media Center, which was great, and kudos to Ms. Moore and Mrs. Zabo. Really was a big touch. This Thursday is the band concert. Next Wednesday is the choir concert. Both of them are at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. I encourage you to attend. There's also the district-wide art gallery that will attend. And I know the art teachers have been working hard as well as Mrs. Shannon and Mrs. Cole. We have students attending the Special Olympics this coming Wednesday. Thank you, Mrs. Jar, for working with us on that today to get that result, so I appreciate that. The Devil's Den is selling Mother's Day gift. This, if you forgot, this weekend is Mother's Day. Got some flower sale this weekend, so you can get flowers and stuff from the Devil's Den. Special congratulations to Richmond High School choir in chorale last Wednesday the 26th, which was after our last board meeting. They participated in the MSVMA State Folk Festival at Rochester High School. They were awarded a second division rating for the concert choir, and the chorale was a first division rating. I know that's a lot of hard work for them, so congratulations to them. If you have nothing to do this weekend, on Saturday from 2 to 4, it's the Congressional District Show, the Fine Arts Gallery Theater at St. Clair Community Colleges, and several Richmond High School students' artwork will be on display. So again, it's from 2 to 4 this Saturday. Kudos to Mrs. Buzek and the Richmond High School students. And I just want to put a couple of important dates for the class of 2023. Last day of school is Wednesday, May 17th. Convocations is May 18th, Thursday at 7 p.m. in the auditorium, with graduation Wednesday, May 24th at 7 p.m. in the Home Center. I did remind just my board members on, I'll put a picture on your calendar for those 3 important days. And I just want to put a teaser on it. We are moving towards moving to a new platform for our district website, which would actually create on the Google Store or the Apple Store an app for Richmond Community Schools, which will allow any updates that could be done right through the app. So parents will get notifications as long as menus are updated or if a change can all be done through the app. And if you choose to sign up to get those notifications, it would streamline the website, which would allow us to eliminate School Messenger and allow it post to be done through the website, which would then automatically feed to our Facebook, email, telephone, all in one system. Actually, looking at saving us money to do it and buy the platform for School Messenger. So more news coming for that. We've been looking at a system similar to many districts in the area that have gone through, just for the ease of implementation and keeping updated regularly. With that, that's all I have.
Next item on our agenda is our item of interest from the board. I'm going to start at this side, so Kevin.
For items of interest, I want to thank everyone that spent yesterday with us at Little League. It was our opening day. I know this isn't directly school related, but since the vast majority of the players that play for Richmond Little League are students here, then I figured I'd do that. Everything we do up there is completely run by volunteers and like a whole lot of volunteers. So thank you to the teachers that were up there yesterday, the sub teachers that were up there, all the parents and grandparents, and even we had high school students out helping us. Ron was in the concession stand with me, and we had a couple other kids out actually umping some of the softball games. They were up there and they helped everything go really smoothly, and it's truly a testament on how wonderful the Richmond community is and how everyone steps up and makes things happen like that. So thank you, everybody.
Candace. Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to all the teachers for it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and so I know that we have some really hardworking PTO and PTA members that have wonderful calendars for the whole week. These teachers are pretty special. I hope you feel it because it is a lot of time and effort and love that you feel. So thank you to the parents that helped out with that and teachers and local companies too that donated. The other thing, are we gonna talk about going to the conference this year? The SB conference?
That's a good question. I haven't seen anything on it yet, but I will look.
Usually you get, it's like a June or July that you will get the information that you need.
I will tell you this, the budget will hold the expenses from last year forward, so we have the budget was for the company we're planning that we have for this FY '24.
And you were not the state giving, was it $100 per class?
I don't remember seeing that in this current budget. I know there are some that can be reimbursed that go from the next state report.
That was it. I'm very excited about this field day for the middle school too. Thanks for sharing that, Brad, but yeah, it's pretty exciting for all the students to be able to shout out to Mr. Knight and Coach Dave and Coach they're all in on it, so that's it.
Angela?
Have a couple comments here. I would like to actually, I don't know what I would say. I was kind of going to put it in my grade, but there was a volunteer that doesn't work for the district, so I put it in my comment. But I wanted to just say how awesome it was to be at the last track meet, our home meet, our invitational, it was our second invitational, third invitational. It was an amazing job, even though it was pouring rain. The students still ran their events and did the best that they could and just gave it their all. And to see the coaches and the athletic director and Mr. Main, our teacher, and Mrs. Manska, who was out there in the pouring rain for hours and hours. It was just awesome to see, and I thank you for your support there. And then also, I would like to remind everybody that this Saturday, May 13th, Richmond High School Theater, opening night for The Little Mermaid. So if you're not doing anything, please come out and take a look. $10, they're only $10 a ticket, and you can give them on building. Thank you.
Sandy? Or you can go Sunday at 2.
Or Sunday at 2, yes.
But I just wanted to remind everybody that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I just wanted to encourage students and teachers and everybody, I guess, to check in on each other, on their loved ones and their friends, and encourage everybody to speak up and against, I guess, bullying, and just be kind to one another.
Thank you. Danielle? I just wanted to say thank you to all of the teachers and staff in general in Richmond for the amazing job they do with the students. I won't be able to attend on Saturday, so I just want to make sure I thank everybody for working.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind, we are having our staff appreciation dinner this Saturday. For those who can't attend, I also want to acknowledge them, that we appreciate all of our work they do for the district. Okay, next item on our agenda is our public comments. Since the last board meeting, I have received no emails. I wish to address a parent's comment regarding the inappropriate actions of the board during public comments. I too went back and watched the public comment section from the board meeting on April 10th. I would like to make it clear that at no time while a teacher was talking did a board member speak. Yes, in between or while they were signing in, some comments were made, all with an explanation. Board member O'Donnell operates our timer during public comments. She was having some difficulty with the timer, and board member Telto and her were trying to get it working and decided not to use the timer. The first 4 comments shared by this parent revolved around this incident. Again, they were not talking while a teacher was speaking.
Another point during public comments, a board member saw a gentleman walking back and forth in the hallway and was just expressing concern. We talked about it after the meeting because I too was a little concerned. None of us recognized this individual. With everything going on in our country, we need to be observant. Again, this did not take place while a teacher was addressing the board. No one at this board table disrespects anyone who comes to our meetings and addresses us during public comment. At this time, any member of the public may address the board. Please sign in and state your name. Excuse me, do I need to? I'm going to back up a minute, Mr. Ladd. Give us 1 second. I know that there were a couple other board members who wish to address our public comments from the last meeting, so I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
President Michaud actually covered most of what I was going to say, but since I spent the time to write this all out today, I'm going to go for it. I'd like to address the comments made by Ms. Churchy at the last meeting. In addition to that, the comments regarding myself and other board members on the Facebook Stand Up for the Devils page. For those of you who don't know, I spent about a year helping to admin and moderate that page. After winning a seat on the board, I removed myself from the moderating position and became a member. I felt like it was a conflict of interest for me to be on the board and be an admin of the group, but I still wanted to be aware of what the parents' concerns were. Shortly after that, I was totally removed from the group, and none of the admins will admit who did it or what the reasoning was. I tell you this because my name and character have been smeared or questioned in a recent post, and I find that quite immature when a person doesn't even have the right to defend themselves. Ms. Churchy and Ms. Miranda Chauvin decided to tell people that I was disrespectful and I don't care about our teachers here. My whatever comment, as Deb just explained, seems to have driven this discontentment towards me, was completely and falsely taken out of context. If any of those people commenting were actually at the meeting, they would have been aware that I was actually talking to the time clock. I set it for 3 minutes per person. The teachers were talking for much less than that, and I was literally just done resetting it. And whatever was my way of saying that I was just going to leave it because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and whatever is what we always said. So it just kind of automatically came out. At no time was I ever not listening to the teachers or being disrespectful. What I find disrespectful is the fact that Board Member Cunningham explained that on the Facebook post, what had actually happened, and Ms. Churchy then insinuated that it was a fabricated cover. I ran for this board position because I do care about our teachers. I do care about all of our staff and our students. I volunteer my time to try to make sure that we have some of the best programs and education opportunities for these kids. I am disheartened when a parent thinks it's okay to question my character or my integrity. I had some words for Ms. Churchy, but I'll skip that since she's not here. The amount of items sitting on the plates of each person at this table is astounding, and yet we are still here volunteering our time. My email is listed on the website. If anyone has any questions or concerns in regards to a comment that I have made or may make in the future, please feel free to reach out to me like an adult instead of attempting to smear me on Facebook. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to address the comments that were made by Ms. Churchy at our last meeting as well. First, I find it fascinating that the camera has been moved to show all of us at the table, which I welcome, because I believe we all hold ourselves in very high decorum. Ms. Churchy, who stood up here 2 weeks ago and said things about board members, about Ms. O'Donnell, myself, comments that were made. She was not at the meeting that she spoke of, and I have never, ever disrespected someone who came to this board table. And I may disagree with things that people are saying when they come to this table, but that is my right as a human being to disagree. And I put a lot of work. I have spent 21 years being a school board member, doing what I think is best for the school district. And for Ms. Churchy to come up here and make comments that myself and the rest of the people on this board do not that disrespect our teachers or any staff member, and to talk and make comments that we should, with the contract thing that we're dealing with our teachers, to make the statement that we should just give the teachers, give them what they want because they're so great, whatever her statement, she is absolutely correct. And that is absolutely what we were trying to do. So when you come up and you make statements because you want your 15 minutes of fame, I would ask Ms. Turgey to please take a step back, because I have sat for months and months listening to her come up, say things that have not been true. I have heard her bash our superintendent, and when she had a meeting with our superintendent and our board president and was proven wrong, she didn't have the decency to come back up here in front of the TV cameras and make the statement that she was incorrect. So if she would like to make the statement that this board needs to change or fix their behavior, I would like her to go first and show some integrity on her end, because this board works very hard. These are very good people I sit at this table with, and we are volunteers. And yes, we put ourselves out there. You know, when you run for office, there will be people that don't like you or disagree with you. But for God's sakes, let's be factual, let's speak truthfully, and let's speak to someone's face as opposed to the crap on social media. Thank you.
Anybody else want to address from last meeting? Okay, Mr. Ladd, I see you're ready. At this time, any member of the public may address the board. Please stand and state your name. You'll have 3 minutes. Are there any public comments?
Oh, thank you. Yes, well, this is our people group who you were kind enough to send us one. I just wanted to show up and once again say thank you for everything. And the kids would just like to share a few comments about their experience with you, so you know more about what happened.
Hi, I'm Lainey Wagner, and I would just like to say a very big thank you for giving us this amazing experience to further our academics this year. And I would say one of the best things that happened while we were in DC was not only the competition, but being able to meet other teenagers my age who are interested in learning more on our government, our society, how everything works. And I'd just like to thank you all for giving us this amazing opportunity.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Jasuki, and I wanted to extend my thanks to you for allowing us to go to Washington. It was an amazing experience, and whether, you know, the next year's AP kids get to go to Washington or not, we the people in general, it's an amazing opportunity, and I'm just thankful to see Ms. Telso there at Washington, and I'm glad that we had you guys on our side, so thank you.
Hello, I'm Kyle Bergeron. I would like to thank you all for your support for letting us go to Washington, D.C. It was an experience that I don't think I've ever experienced in my life. I never thought I'd be able to go to Washington, D.C. We always talked about it going after our state competition was over and what could happen. And then when we found out that we could actually go, it was a blessing. And I thank you guys all for your support. It means the world to me.
And I would just like to extend a thank you to all of you for allowing us and helping us to get down to Washington, D.C. It was truly an inspiring experience. Thank you.
Virginia, and going to Washington, D.C. was an absolutely amazing experience and nothing short of a miracle that we never thought was going to happen. It's all thanks to your help. Thank you very much.
And I just want to say thank you. I mean, you people has been like one of the greater experiences of my high school career, I guess. And yeah, thanks.
Hi, I'm Alice Merrill. I'm kind of going to say what all my classmates said. Thank you all for this opportunity. It was definitely a surprise, but thank you all for making it happen.
thank you so much for allowing us to go to Washington. It was a great trip. I really wish that every kid at Richmond would experience the We the People program as a whole and be able to go to Washington like we did, because again, it was a blast. Thank you guys.
My name is Sophia Slack, and I just wanted to say that I really appreciate your guys' support, especially on such short notice. We were not given the same amount of time to prepare as other teams, but I do think that we did very well, even though we had a little bit of disadvantages in that sort of field, but we wouldn't have been able to make it there without you guys. I really appreciate it. All you guys for giving us the opportunity. It was a lot of fun. And also, thank you for giving us the opportunity to show all of our hard work and work out this school year.
Okay, thanks very much. It was just a wonderful experience with kids, and regardless of what other people say, we would go on.
Well, thank you so much for representing us, and thank you so much for coming here. You guys came here. This is the second time now, and she's so appreciated and so noticed. So thank you so much.
And you waited for us. I know you guys. And I want to tell you guys, it's being able to do what we did for you. That's what makes being a school board member
Absolutely.
great, and makes it worth it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for representing us. I do have one question. Did you guys go to the White House?
We took pictures with Alex. Did you do anything fun? Did you have fun?
Yes.
Was the dance fun?
Yes.
Connor had fun.
It was
All together in one room for
Right.
each day, all of them.
Yeah. You're more alike than you realize, people from.
I don't think I would have ever anticipated walking in to a party and seeing two kids talking about the 17th Amendment.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Are there any other public comments? Okay, we are going to move on. I'm sorry, Mrs. Jarrett.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you to the board for the upcoming dinner on behalf of myself and other staff members that talked about it. It's very nice and very well appreciated. And do that for us, I think the PTAs to do it so that everybody needs all week for us. People do know us.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Are there any other public comments? Looking for a motion to go into closed session.
Pursuant to Section 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, I move that the Board of Education go into closed session for the purposes of negotiations.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will be coming back out of closed session to do our action items. Okay, we're going back in open session at 10:23. Ms. Talento would like to make a statement before we proceed.
Yes, I just want to make a statement to apologize for what I talked about earlier before we went into closed session during public comment, when I made the comment about the TV cameras. I meant no disrespect to Mr. Robbins. I have great respect for him. He does a wonderful job with us. He moved the camera to get a better angle with what was going on, all the stuff that was going on tonight with the top 10 and whatnot. It had nothing to do with the comment that was made 2 weeks ago. So, Mr. Robbins, I deeply apologize. I hope you accept my apology and we'll move forward. And next time I will ask you first before I make the comment. Yep.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our action items. We're going to be discussing or voting on a resolution to voluntarily recognize the Richmond Administrators Association as the bargaining representative for the administrators. Mr. Walmsley.
This is, if you recall, the Teamsters dropped the representation and administrators should like to represent themselves. So this resolution acknowledges that representation.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to voluntarily recognize the Richmond Administrators Association as the collective bargaining representative for the Richmond administrators, which includes 3 principals, 3 deans of students, 1 director of student support services, and 1 director of athletics, facilities, and school safety, and is outlined in the attached resolution.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is the approval of Richmond Administrators Association Contract Amendment and Extension.
So this contract amendment extension amends the existing contract as well as extends the contract 2 more years with a % on the matrix and a full step for all members. In the resolution, you'll see that you're authorizing me to sit down with the union and remove any references to the Teamster Local 214, because we'll have to sit down and review their contract. And so that will eventually come back to you with a review, but just removing their language, not changing the contract.
I'm looking for a motion.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the contract amendment and extension between the Board of Education of Richmond Community Schools and Richmond Administrators Association through June 30th, 2026, as outlined in the documentation. Furthermore, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to negotiate contractual language regarding the removal and reference to the Teamsters Local 214.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Any discussion?
Other than Mr. Walmsley, thank you very much for that, and to our administrators for quickly agreeing to this. I think it's a good move, and it shows our appreciation for our administrators and wanting them to be comparable to other administrators in the area. So thank you, Mr. Walmsley.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is the approval of additional classroom furniture. Mr. Walmsley?
About 2 years ago, when we moved back into the building after the renovation, we bought many teacher desks, chairs, mats, bookshelves, and wardrobe cabinets, if any. As we have been adding staff and realizing there's some additional furniture, so we'd like to purchase the same stuff so that all the furniture is matching. It's about 15 sets of each of the items purchased. So.
I'm looking for a motion.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and award a contract to School Specialty for additional teacher furniture for an amount not to exceed $66,841.20. Furthermore, the board authorizes the superintendent to enter into a contractual agreement within the scope of the project on behalf of the Board of Education. Consistent with general provisions of the board purchasing policy, the superintendent is authorized to approve change orders on the project that are within the bond budget for allowances and contingency funds. This project is authorized in the application for preliminary qualification of bonds approved by the Michigan Department of Treasury and approved by the voters of Richmond Community Schools, for which funding from the 2020 School Building and Site Bond Series 1 and 2022 School Building and Site Bond Series 2 is available.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Candace?
Aye.
Kelly?
I made a motion. So
I'm sorry, I did that. Thank you. Margaret, you're the first one.
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Candace.
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Angela.
Aye.
Danielle.
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries.
Being no further business, the board will adjourn at 10:29.